This is definitely going to be a movie you either love to hate or hate that you love. There's not going to be a lot of in between. Personally, I love low budget horror movies. I think they're fantastic. I think they have a huge creative freedom that some of the bigger studios don't have, and it makes them unique. So for this reason, I was super hyped about this movie. Also for the fact that I got to interview Kelly Rian Sanson, who is playing Cinderella in this, about, I think, 8 weeks ago. I'll put that interview in a tab. I can never remember what corner of the screen it shows up in. She was an absolute joy to talk to. She was talking about how enthusiastic she was and how bloody and gory this was going to be. This is going to be completely different than anything we've ever seen. So I'm stoked, right? Finally got to see it. And it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of stuff I love about this movie. There's a lot of stuff I wasn't crazy on that I think that could have been different. But overall, it was one of those, it's a personal preference. It's a taste. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. I'm still trying to decide. The casting itself, Kelly Rian Sanson, she made this movie. Okay, I'm going to put that out there up front. If it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't like the movie as much as I did. She played an incredible Cinderella. You could really tell the pain she was in, being tormented by her evil stepsisters, both physically and emotionally, until the point where she snaps and goes on a complete murderous rampage. That's where things get really good. Now, the evil stepsisters in question were played by Budd and Natasha Tosini, who I also think did a phenomenal job. I was really enjoying their maliciousness in the way they tortured Cinderella until they got eventually what was theirs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And even the evil stepmother, who was played by Danielle Scott, she was very convincing. This woman was, she was evil. She was very evil. And she had a really good grasp on this role. I was very pleased. And when they were on screen, I was glued. I was intrigued with the story. I was intrigued with their acting. And I thought it was just fun. Of course, we got the prince, too. He's also in on all this. And there was a lot of blood. There was a lot of gore. We got the typical Cinderella story. Okay, so I don't think anything there has changed. Cinderella, fairy godmother, grants her wishes, she gets revenge, that kind of thing. It's not too hard of a story to follow. But speaking of the fairy godmother, this is where things for me got a little jumbled. This is where the mixed bag comes in. This movie felt a little discombobulated in the sense that it feels like there were two different writers and two different directors throughout this film. So Louisa Warren directed this, and I also got an interview with her. I'll put that in a link somewhere up above and down in the description. And she also, very nice woman to talk to. I was very excited on some of the things she was trying to describe. But something about the way that this movie happened, it just felt like it was two different directors coming from two different directions. One of the biggest things that took me out of it was the fairy godmother. I think they went too over the top with this character. I mean, the makeup alone was just, it was out there. I mean, I understand having a gory, scary, creepy, whatever godmother. I was expecting that. But what we got was a cross between The Walking Dead and Hellraiser. So I think we've gone a little too extreme. And I was expecting basically a mangled human, some rips and scars and cuts and all that other stuff. But we basically got a full-on zombie. In a dress, mind you. So I wasn't crazy on that character. And then I say Hellraiser because she's got these like 3 minions with her who are also equally as mangled, all in black suits. And I was thinking Pinhead the whole time and his minions. So I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what I got from it. I think it was too much. Could have toned that down a bit. And I can't believe I'm saying that for a horror movie. And I'm only saying that because of the subject matter being Cinderella. That's it. But that's also why I got taken in and out of this movie and why I say it was felt like two different directors and two different writers, because that was like extreme horror. And then we had the Cinderella fairy tale aspect of things, which is like way on the opposite end of the spectrum. So it felt like two different types of movies trying to collide. Now, when I talked to Louisa Warren in her interview as director, she mentioned that she was trying to go for very much a Carrie vibe. And I got that. When Cinderella like snapped and lost it, and she went into Carrie mode, which I'll call it Carrie mode, I love that. That was like perfect horror revenge story, right? But we're mixing, again, Carrie now with like Walking Dead Hellraiser. So there's too many different elements mixing that are bouncing off of each other. It just doesn't work. If they would have just stuck with the Carrie thing and maybe one fairy godmother and not so many minions, I would have been more for it. Oh, but then we got the book, which, you know, made of, I'm guessing, human skin, very much like the Necronomicon, or with the eyeball on the front cover. Looks like the Hocus Pocus book. Swear to God. It's like they're taking different elements from different movies and slapping them in here. I could have done without the book. I don't think the book was needed in this film at all, and it probably would have been better without it. Just my opinion, but if you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Wasn't a fan of the book. It was never really explained, so we don't know its origin. All we know is that the pages of the book get drawn and written as things happen, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I'm trying to understand the purpose of it, and it never clicked. So I was like, you know what? This is an element we could totally just do without. So when we had Cinderella and the evil stepsisters on screen, and they're doing their thing, and they're arguing, or they're fighting, or Cinderella's getting her revenge and just slaughtering people, that's when this movie was at its best. Anytime we went off of that onto the fairy godmother, or, you know, the book or something else like that, that's when things just went sideways for me, and I was taken completely out of the movie. But I want to reiterate, the cast themselves, I feel, did a fantastic job. I think this was a writing issue and a directorial issue. Outside of that, casting, you guys did great. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you saw the movie, please drop a like on this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you at the concession stands.